good evening everyone, how are you doing? I hope that I find you all very well indeed as usual, and a very warm welcome back to What's for Tea. And if you're new, a very warm welcome to you also. And if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe before you go, and if you like the video, give it a wee thumbs up because it does help other people find my wee videos. I'm not sure if you knew that, but yeah, it does. I've only found that out recently, so a wee thumbs up would be more than appreciated. So today for tea, I made this super tasty honey glazed gammon in the slow cooker because I have been asked for more slow cooker recipes, and I was making this, so I just thought I'd pop on, you know, and let you see how I done it. It's super easy and absolutely melt in the mouth. It's wonderful. If you're a fan of ham or gammon, you know, it turns out wonderfully sticky and so rich and tasty. It's absolutely incredible, and it's so simple to make, like I said. So everything, as you know, as usual, will be in the description box down below, so don't worry about writing any of the ingredients down. You know, I have popped them in the box down below for you. So yeah, so let's move on and see what we're going to need for this wee recipe. The first thing I've got is half a teaspoon of allspice. Now I'm using Chinese 5 spice, but you can use whatever spice you like. I've also got a tablespoon of whole grain mustard, but again, feel free to use whatever mustard you like. I've got a 1 kilo gammon joint. This is unsmoked. You can use smoked again if you prefer. I've got 300 ml of apple juice. I've got 2 white onions, which I've halved through the middle. I've got 2 tablespoons of runny honey. I've got 1 tablespoon of soft brown sugar. I've got 1 star anise, 10 whole black peppercorns, and just a few cloves for a bit of extra flavour. And Gary Boyd, you'll be disappointed to know there are no mushrooms this time. Yeah, so that's it. Like I said, super simple ingredients. So let's move on and see what's next. So this is the mustard that I use in almost everything, but like I said, use whatever one you like. And these are just simple black whole peppercorns. Other brands are available. These are the cloves and the star anise, and then this is the Chinese 5 spice, but like I said, use whatever spice you like. And I'm just going to be using a cheap and cheerful honey. You know, you don't really need an expensive one. It's just to make it nice and sticky so that it holds on to your meat. And obviously a pastry brush. So first thing you want to do is get your slow cooker on to high. So I always like to warm my crock pot up with some boiling water before I get started, but you don't have to do this. But if you do, just make sure you tip it away before you start. So first thing you want to do is pop your onions into the bottom. Just try and group them into the middle because you're going to sit your meat on top of these. Then plop in your gammon. And then you can pour on your apple juice. This is 300 ml. This is just cheap and cheerful apple juice as well. It doesn't have to be anything special. And then your spices. So as much peppercorns as you like, as much cloves as you like, and 1 wee star anise, because this is quite strong, so you'll only need 1 of them. And then a couple of bay leaves, fresh ones if you've got them. I didn't have any, so I've just used the dry ones. Just give those a wee stir at the bottom. And that's it. Super duper easy. You just want to cover this and cook for as long as you like. Like I said, I'm going to be cooking mine on high for about 6 hours, but you can do it on low for about 8 hours if you prefer. And while you're waiting, you can make up your glaze and just set that to the side till your meat's ready. So into a bowl, pop your mustard, and then your honey, then your brown sugar, and then your spice, whatever you're deciding to use, and just give this a wee mix together. Just make sure it's thoroughly combined. And like I say, you can just cover this up and keep it until later on. It's one less thing to do nearer the time. And that's that. So this is me 6 hours later, and this is now done. So you just want to get this out of the water. Now the easiest way I've found is just with a pair of tongs. Now you want to grab yourself an oven-proof dish and make sure you line it well with tin foil. because, you know, the glaze is going to be absolutely murder to try and get off the bottom of your dish if you don't use foil. So just put your meat in there and let this rest for 10 or 15 minutes before you put your glaze on. Or at least that's what I do. And whilst you're waiting on that resting, you can get your gravy started. So whatever's in your crock pot, you just want to strain through a sieve. You're only looking for the stock. So grab yourself a pan and a sieve and just strain the contents of your slow cooker through your sieve, and you can just discard these onions and things. And then you go back over to your meat. This will have a, you know, sufficient resting time by now. And what you want to do, if you've got any remaining fat, if any fat has survived your cooking, just cut that off. I only had a tiny wee bit, so I was quite lucky. You just want to get rid of that. And then you can brush on your glaze. You might not need it all. It'll depend on, you know, the size of joint that you've got. Like I said, this was a 1 kilo joint, but if yours is any bigger, you know, you can just double up on the recipe. It's easy. And once you're happy, just whack this into an oven for 20 to 25 minutes, quite a hot oven, just in case, you know, just until it goes nice and brown and sticky and a wee bit charred. And while you're waiting, go back to your gravy, and then you want to get your stock up to a simmer and let this simmer away for about 10 to 15 minutes, and it'll reduce slightly and become more concentrated. And to thicken it up, you just want to make up a tablespoon of corn flour and a tablespoon of water and just mix that through. And just keep on simmering away, and it'll just keep, you know, get thicker and thicker the longer you leave it. So it's up to you when you want to pull this off. I usually give mine between 10 and 15 minutes. We don't like our gravy, you know, super duper thick, just somewhere in between. So that's the gravy done. So all you have to do now is get your meat out of your oven, and again, I like to try and let this rest for 10 to 15 minutes. It just makes it cutting up, you know, a wee bit easier, and it wouldn't fall apart, you know, the same. Although bear in mind, this is going to be mega tender, and it will be fall apart because it's been in there so long, and that's just the way we like it. If you don't like it so flaky and fall apart, take it off an hour earlier, and it'll be more, you know, it'll be easier to carve if you prefer it carved perfectly. But this is the, you know, the result that I got, somewhere in between, and it was absolutely fall apart, so juicy, and that coating was beautiful and sticky and wonderful, and just slightly sweet. It wasn't overly sweet. Lovely. And all you have to do now is plate it up. This will be enough for 4 people. So that's the meat there. We just had a few baby potatoes and butter and some green beans and some of that lovely gravy over the top. And Mr. What's for Tea in particular said this was absolutely perfect this time. Wonderful, absolutely beautiful. So yeah, so if you're going to give it a go, minding, let me know. Now I just wanted to pop this onto the end, just in case you're interested. We were actually at Culzean Castle the other day. Now this is only 20 minutes drive from us, and I just thought I'd pop it on to let you see, because we think it's absolutely beautiful. The castle itself actually dates back to 1792, and it's now owned by the National Trust for Scotland. It did belong to a family called the Kennedys in 1945, but they gifted it to the National Trust for Scotland back then, and that's where it remains. You know, it remains in trust to this day. And it is absolutely beautiful. Another wee fact, the castle was actually used, if you remember the film, the original Wicker Man back in 1973 with Christopher Lee, the original Wicker Man film, the castle was actually used for certain scenes in that film, which I didn't know actually until I had a wee look, and yeah, I found that out, so I thought that was quite interesting. This was an absolutely glorious day. This was one of the hottest days we've had in the last few weeks, so we thought we'd just go and have a wee look round. I mean, it's not cheap, it's quite expensive to get in, you know, if there's a few of you, and the food. There's a coffee shop and there's a restaurant, but again, it is quite pricey. So you might want to bring yourself a wee flask of coffee or a picnic, because there were plenty of families here and that's exactly what they were doing. We weren't planning on coming here, or we would have done, because that's generally what we do. You know, you just bring yourself your blanket and your picnic hamper and a wee flask of tea or coffee or something cold. There are also some animals to see as well. There's some llamas, although I thought this one was quite cheeky. He kept hiding from me, and I think he was doing that on purpose, because he wasn't doing that before. And there's red deer and there's Highland cows and quite a few different animals to see. It's quite a, it's quite a big bit of land here. It could take you an hour and a bit just to walk around the grounds, or possibly a bit more. But we were only here, we spent 2.5 hours here. We just wanted a wee walk around about the grounds. We didn't go into the castle this time, we just had a walk around about the grounds. I think it's about £17.50 per person if you want to actually go into the castle. And it's just about £11.50 per person if you just want to go and explore the grounds, which is what we done this time. And we just had a wee bit of lunch. We didn't want to sit in the restaurant because it was so warm, so I just get this wee soup, and this was £4.50. Can you believe? And £2 for the water, which, yeah, it is definitely not cheap, but it's all homemade locally, it's all local produce, so it is extremely tasty. So I just thought I'd give you that wee bit at the end there, just for those of you who are interested in a wee bit of the history of, the area that I'm in Scotland. So yeah, so that was Culzean Castle, or it's, you might think it's called Culzean, but it's actually pronounced Culzean. So thank you very much, guys, for popping over again and checking out my wee recipes, and I will be back in the next couple of days. I'm expecting my degusta box in the next couple of days, and I'll also be back with a poll to see what you will want to see next. And of course, we've got meals of the week as usual on Sunday, and then I'll be doing my shopping haul on Thursday or Friday. So yeah, quite a few things coming up, so hopefully I'll see you back for that. So until I see you guys, from our house in Scotland to wherever you are in the world, lots of love and take care, and bye for now. Bye now.